Hey everyone, this is Meg with another first impressions video for you, and today I'm going to be talking about Sorcery. I am really loving this game right now. It's a bit of a pain to have to play, and I mean that literally. I think that's my problem though. I get a little bit too aggressive when I'm firing arcane bolts and it's not going where I want it to, so instead of just varying my angle or direction, I tend to flick it harder. It's the same principle as when you're talking to someone who doesn't speak English, so you think by talking louder people are going to understand you. Anyway, I'm getting completely sidetracked. What I wanted to say before I start this review is that Sorcery feels quite last gen, but this is a good thing, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to start by talking about gameplay. I know this is very confusing as I usually start with story, but hey, variation is the spice of life. Why stick to the same mundane drudgery? Now I want to start by saying that this last generation feel is definitely prevalent in, for me, the save points. I don't really remember the last time I hung on every save opportunity and worried and fretted because my health was about this low and if I died I'd have to go all the way back to the beginning. This is one of those games. Last gen, but a great feature. The gameplay I think is quite formulaic. Things crop up and you have specific actions to deal with them. I know that this is most video games, but it's formulaic again in the last gen sense. I'm going to talk about this a lot, so just bear with me. So it's basically very simple to vary your techniques to deal with each oncoming situation. Enemies are very varied too, and they also require their own, I guess, technique. You have to tackle them in different ways, which again is really fantastic because it brings back the old trial and error way of learning. In a level you'll start out with a brand new enemy you've never seen before, no hints as to how to defeat it at all, you just have to feel it out and figure out what you're doing yourself. The levels are quite linear, much like a platform game, an old platformer, minus the jumping and the shimmying and your actual platforming mechanics. The Move controller itself actually works incredibly well, and I think the fact that it is a Move game elevates it somewhat from mediocrity. What I mean to say is it's just really fun waving the Move controller around. Now, okay, I am actually just going to mention one problem I had. I'm not sure if anyone else had this issue, but I certainly did. I could hook up this controller, which is great because it's your wand, and without it you're pretty much screwed. This one, on the other hand, to move around, didn't seem to want to respond when I played the game. I'm not really sure why. It just didn't. So instead of using the two together, you know, like moving around and then, you know, wanding stuff, I was having to use half of the actual controller and then the Move controller. So instead I was just kind of doing this. I'm not sure if this was just a problem I was having. As we all know, I suffer from a very bad disease known as dumbassiness. So all in all, I would liken the gameplay of this game, so far anyway, to games like Spyro or Jak and Daxter. It's quite formulaic, but it's very, very fun. It's also deceptively challenging and very, very addictive. You can play it for days if you wanted, wearing nothing but an adult diaper, or you can play it for just a couple of hours, if even that. It's one of those games that manages to be accessible for any time limit, and I like that, and I miss that. Okay, so on to the story. The story itself, to me, isn't very last gen. I feel, though, that it's kind of being marketed not as well as it could be. It's being marketed in the same way that I feel Beyond Good and Evil was marketed. I saw one trailer for this game, and I was really not impressed, particularly. It looked very childish, it looked easy. Unimaginative is another one I would come up with, and yet 2 minutes into the story of the game and I was chuckling along with the characters, the writing, which is actually incredibly witty, and the general setup of it is actually very fun. Now don't mistake me here, it is very funny and it is very light-hearted, but it's actually worth your while, worth your time. I mean, about, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes into the game, the story suddenly takes a huge detour down a road you wouldn't necessarily expect, or I didn't expect. So I was very surprised by it all. I also want to add here that the central duo of Finn and Airline are really, really wonderful. I like that sort of banter they have going on that's very similar to, say, Nathan Drake and Elena Fisher, or Princess Farah and the Prince in Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. And even though there's a lot of almost cliched, witty banter going on, the characters are a lot deeper than you might initially expect. Marketing. It can really kill a title. One day, marketers will figure this out. The score is the only thing so far that I would say isn't Last Generation. It's a wonderful backdrop to everything that's going on in the story and the action, but it's not very memorable. There are no themes that stick out to you like, I don't know, the Mario theme or something. It's not got that addictiveness. And I think that the game could have used those sorts of themes to its benefit. Although it does sound really lovely, the pieces that do play definitely utilise wonderful sounds and actually quite an impressive orchestra. The graphics was the only letdown for me. It looked very wishy-washy, like a painter just, I don't know, washed the whole picture in water. The colours are mostly pastel and a little bit muted with the occasional pop, I mean real pop of colour. I like the styles and the designs of everything, from like the buildings to the costumes. I just think the colouring was a little bit off for me. Now, I know I've said before that I don't like sort of ridiculous vibrancy. I don't want to play a game most of the time that looks like a pop-up book unless it fits the general theme of the game. But I think Sorcery should have taken a few notes out of their cutscene book. Actually, that really works quite well. Go me. Because the cutscenes themselves are in a storybook form. Man, I am just a wizard with words. Events play out like an animated storyboard sequence, and it's all very aged and, I don't know, kind of like you've just opened a magician's notebook. But this works for Sorcery. I think it really, really fits in. Unlike Starhawk or the Mirror's Edge cutscenes. So all in all, I'm thinking that this is a real surprise and a gem, and I'm really glad that I actually went out on a whim and said, hey, let's do this. I'm loving it. It's fun, it's challenging, it's addictive. It's something that even though my arm feels like it's about to fall off, I'm still playing it. I love it that much. I can't actually wait to finish it, and now I've started the story, I'm really curious to see where it's going to go. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions on Sorcery in the comment section below. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in my next video on Thursday, which will be a trailer talk. Bye! And today I'm going to be talking about Sorcery. Wait, I should probably get the Move controllers. Excuse me. That, I know it looks funny, I swear to God it's hair dye. Any Harry Potter wannabe wants to have a wand that works. But it's really, really fun so far. I have nothing but good things to say about it, besides the two bad things I pointed out. Lovely paste. Lovely paste? Oh my God. Do I speak English? I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. I'm loving it like that. So all in all, I'm really, really loving it. Yeah, okay, I get a little forearm cramp, or I don't know what this muscle is, but I really cramp there a lot too. Can you make much more noise?
Sorry.
Did you actually hear me? Kudos, I didn't think you could hear me at all.
I just...
Oh, oh no, she's mad.